House of the Dragon creators defend that bloody birth scene. The House of the Dragon pilot's graphic birth scene caused a visceral response even at the show's gala premiere. Showrunner Ryan J. Condal, who co-created the Game of Thrones prequel with George R.R. Martin, noticed an intense reaction in the theater, and says people were quick to discuss it afterward. A lot of people had things to say about the birth of Baelon, Prince Baelon, he told Vanity Fair. Now that the show has made its HBO debut, everyone can share in the devastation. The creators insist this grisly moment was a necessary way to mark the start of the Dance of the Dragons, the family civil war that not only tears apart the powerful House Targaryen, but eventually annihilates dragons from the skies of Westeros. In the context of the story, King Viserys, Paddy Considine, needs a male heir to maintain a clean line of succession in the patriarchal dynasty. The death of the baby, and of the king's wife, Queen Aemma, son Brooke, during the botched birth, creates a void that other family members rush to fill, brandishing swords and fire-breathing monsters to gain the upper hand. The House of the Dragon birth scene goes even further than Martin's description in 2018's Fire and Blood, which inspired the Game of Thrones prequel. Queen Aemma was brought to bed in Maegor's Holdfast and died whilst giving birth to the son that Viserys Targaryen had desired for so long, Martin writes in the fictional history. The boy, named Baelon, after the king's father, survived her only by a day, leaving king and court bereft. Those two sentences have been expanded into a forced C-section, with Aemma screaming in anguish as she is held down and cut open by doctors and midwives who hope to save the breech baby even at the expense of her life. Viserys tries to console the frightened, suffering woman after granting permission for the brutal procedure, having never so much as consulted with her about it. That scene is, you don't want to use the word enjoyable for a scene like that, but it's incredibly powerful, Martin says. That scene is, you don't want to use the word enjoyable for a scene like that, but it's incredibly powerful. Is much more violent in the series than it is in the book. Why was that scene important? Ryan Condal, really, this particular story is Viserys' story. It's kicked off by him believing that he's going to have a new male son after trying for years and years, and stillbirths and miscarriages, and all the hell that, his wife Queen Aemma, has been through as a mother. Finally the answer is going to come. He's very confident and sure of it. Just like that, mother and son die in childbirth. Suddenly, everything changes and flips the chess table. George R.R. Martin, there's a lot of opportunity for expansion. That's what we'll find a lot of in the series. What Ryan and his team of writers have been doing great so far is to do an expansion that does not contradict the book. I mean, you can add a lot of things. You can add scenes. You can even add some characters. But you can't do anything that affects the structure, or otherwise, 3 or 4 books later, you're going to be in trouble. In Fire and Blood, George, you just wrote that the baby died a day later, and you don't really describe a C-section. Why was it important to make it so visceral and gruesome on screen? It went a little far for me. Condal, it's not meant to be gratuitous. It's meant to show there's a heavy theme in this particular period. In Fire and Blood, there's a lot of very difficult births. It was something we wanted to carry over the season. There's this whole idea in Game of Thrones, or in the Middle Ages, or in historical age like this, that the men marched off to the battlefield and the women's battlefield happened in the childbed. That was a very dangerous place to be. All of the complications that people go through in modern birth that are now fixed by science and medicine and surgery were not really possible back then. Any slight complication, anything could lead to very tragic consequences for the child and the mother. We wanted to dramatize that. We think you see plenty of violence of all colors in Westeros, but there is a particular violence to childbirth, even childbirth that goes well in the end. We wanted to dramatize that. We also wanted, on a dramatic level, to have Viserys have to make a choice. It was really important to make him an active participant in what happened to Aemma and to Baelon. Martin, that is so powerful. Paddy performs that heartbreak and the difficulty is on his face. The terror on his wife's face, they're both so powerful. Yeah, I think that was certainly the right way to go. There's a larger question, a larger issue, that your question raises. The word gratuitous I see occasionally in reviews, and it always annoys the hell out of me. I don't think anything is gratuitous. Of course, I've been accused of gratuitous violence and gratuitous sex and occasionally of gratuitous heraldry and gratuitous feast scenes. Condal, and gratuitous gratuity. George is known as an overtipper. Martin, I want to live the book. I want to be there. I want my emotions engaged. Those are the kind of novels I love to read and the kind of things I love to write. That's what affects you emotionally. I've been accused of being a particularly bloody person. Star Wars kills more people than I do. In the first Star Wars movie, here comes the Death Star. They blow up the planet of Alderaan. 20 million people are dead. Does it have any impact on you? Do you care that 20 million people are dead? 6 movies later, you find out, I guess, that Jimmy Smits was one of them. Then you retroactively go, oh, they've killed Jimmy Smits. But you don't feel anything at the moment. It's just, oh, okay. It's a statistic. What would it mean if Viserys was watching the tournament, and a messenger comes running in and says, oh, they've killed Jimmy Smits?